Okay, so the question that the Fidig Rebbe asks, that the Rebbe is elaborating on, is why are Yidden called Tzivos Hashem when it comes to Yitzias Mitzrayim? What's the question? The question is that the name Tzvokos, referring to Hashem, which was first invoked by Chana, she was the first one to call Hashem by this term. So this is a much lower level, immeasurably so, than the other Shemos. And then by Yitzias Mitzrayim was the Gilui Shem Havaya, and it's the Dor Deya, it's the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. This is a generation that is Neshamas Datzilus. So why Shem Tzvokos? Why Tzivos Hashem? That's the basic question. Now, to elaborate on the question. Yeah, Va'inyan, page Chaf Aleph. Page Chaf Aleph, 3 lines from the top. Huh? Page Chaf Aleph, Va'inyan was there. All right, Omna. Hashem Tzvokos le'niskri b'zmanahu. But at the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem was not Hashem. It's not referred as Tzvokos. The Yidden are called Tzivos. But why invoke that name, that association with Shem Tzvokos when it wasn't mentioned then? Why? It's because it is insignificant compared to the other names, the other 6 or 7 names. Now to elaborate, as the Alter Rebbe explains, it's from the Alter Rebbe, yeah? Yeah. Shetzvokos eloshen chayolos. Tzvokos is an expression of troops, meaning v'em gedudein neshamas malachim de bria, referring to the troops of neshamas and malachim of the world of bria. Asher, on the one hand, asher ein mispar gedudov, there's no number, as the Alter Rebbe brings from the Gemara, no number to the troops. Gedisa b'Gemara, as the Gemara says, Pirush Shem Tzvokos. What does the name Tzvokos mean in reference to Hashem? Oisu b'tzava shaloi. He stands out amongst his troops, amongst his army. Hainu shemayosh and yonai hamshacha selikus. Even on the one hand, it's the name of Hashem, and therefore it conveys the idea of the drawing down, the revelation of godliness. Shalachein, Hushmei Shalakadosh Baruch Hu, it's Hashem's name, and according to one opinion, at least Mashem Yishen and Mechakim, one of this, it's considered of the 7 names that cannot be erased. What is it? Where is the Likus revealed? Where? It's in the multiplicity of the tzava. So he is assigned there. His presence is drawn there. But drawn where? Drawn in a place of division. Troops. The Neshamas are divided. Malachim are divided. So it's Takeh Chiddush that in Biyah should be drawn down the infinite one, blessed be, and be united there, as the Eir Sof is united with the Kelim Hatzilis, which is what the other names convey.
What does it mean, nice at ois hu b'tzava shaloi? What is that?
Literal meaning, he stands out. Ois means a sign.
In his own kind of...
Amongst his troops, he stands out.
Okay.
Leader.
Huh?
Leader.
Pardon?
Like the leader, the
Okay.
general.
Good. Unique.
Yeah, he's unique, notwithstanding the simplest pshat, notwithstanding the virtue and the greatness of the troops. He stands out. He is beyond them. The deeper meaning is that even in this level of division, he draws his presence and affects their unity, which is a wonderful thing. But the question is, since the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, the day, a generation of Atzilus, so they're in such a situation. They don't experience this separation, this division to begin with. Because they were in a state where they experienced the creative force or the existence of Hashem within creation, as they are one with Him.
Even before they left.
Yeah, that whole generation. Yeah, just to get that language clear, the koyach hapoel, the creative force, as it is within that which He brings about, the creative force is one with Him. And that's why we don't find Hashem referred to with as the Lord of hosts. The Shragi B'tira Mayahani, a candle in the daylight, to quote the Gemara, what is it at? It doesn't contribute any light. So this revelation doesn't add anything. On the contrary, it's division. Where division? They didn't experience division. Overall, they experienced this absolute unity. The neshamot of Atzilus walking around in Eilam Hazeh. So that's why Hashem Tzvakos is not invoked by them or anyone till Chana's generation, which was a descent, lower neshamas the Bria, as he goes on to say. In subsequent generations, after the face of the sun, figuratively, is Pnei Moshe. That's how the sages describe Moshe. Moshe was like the face of the sun, and Yeshua like the moon. V'nasa Pnei Lavan, Pnei Yeshua. So, of course, the sun means, of course, the source. So the source is not shining and not being revealed, and it's undiminished. It's only a reflection. And now the descent goes further. Moshe gives over the Torah to the Skenim. The Skenim and the Nevi'im, and all of this describes a descent. So that's when prophecy begins, and not on the level of Moshe. Which was unique, and he so then we have to draw the delay, right? We have to draw godliness down into a world of division, of multiplicity. In the Eilam Mizbiyah, we don't feel how neither the Oir or the Kalim are absolutely one with Him. Therefore the Nevi'im required, Beis Chana, the time Bas Chana came, to effect that you know that we have to draw down godliness, and even this world of separation, the emes is there isn't any. It's only because of the tzimtzum, and the truth is that all of creation, biyah and lower, is all bound up and inseparable from Him, and that was the avodah that's required then. That He is a sign, literally, amongst His hosts, amongst His troops. The deeper meaning is that we draw His presence even there. The avodah is that even in biyah should be He and His kelim or causations are one with Him, as it is in Atzilus. So that's the avodah that was required then. But this wasn't an avodah at the time of Moshe Rabbeinu. Now we understand the depth, the intensity of the question of the Maimer, since from the level of perspective, the state of Moshe and his generation. Remember the deacon that would Doire Shel Moshe, Doire Meloshen, Shura, a line. They're all on the same wavelength, literally. The whole idea of these troops and separation didn't exist. Why is it that Dafka then you saw Nikra Tzivis Havai? So in other words, we should be clear. Hashem Tzvokos, God as the Lord of hosts, was not expressed then. Why? Because that's Biyah. Neshama is that Tzillah. So why are we calling the Yidden Tzivos Hashem? Invoking that very name. Now the Rebbe continues with the question. He's already quoted, the Rebbe's already woven into the Maimer, the Baal Shem Tov, Magid, and the Alter Rebbe now in this eyes, now the Mittel Rebbe. Understand this further by bringing from the Mittel Rebbe on the Maimer of Basi L'Gani, also begin the words Basi L'Gani. Shachili Beishem Tzvak is the Shar Hashem, so, what? This gets very nuanced now. The difference between Shem Tzvak now the names is Al Derech Achiluk Bein Shem Pe'ula or Shem Kinoi. This is analogous to a word that describes an action or Shem Kinoi. Kinoi means an appellation. In contrast, the Shem Hatoya, in contrast to a word that is an adjective, that is describing the thing itself rather than its effect, V'ad Shem Ba'etzem, or even deeper, a word that addresses the very essence of whatever it is we speak of. Now he's going to elaborate.
So Shem Fuller and Shem Kili are...
That's one category?
One category.
Yeah. And Shem Toya and Shem Etzem is one, but he's now going to divide and define the difference between Shem Toya and Shem Etzem, even though they're internal. The first two are external, the latter two are internal. Now with internal, we now get the following distinction. The Teichenim, B'Ktzoruhu, and the general idea in brief is as follows. First Etzem and then Toya, right? We're starting with the internal names, starting with the essence, the deeper, and then moving outwards. What's the Shema Etzem? Well, derech dugma be'ish chacham. For by way of illustration, a chacham. We call him a chacham. What do we mean by this? He's a chacham. What this is Hashem Atzmi, relatively speaking. What do we mean? Relatively speaking. Why relatively speaking? Because be'etzem a person is beyond the chacham. The etzem hanefesh is poshet. It's pure, just pure life. But relatively speaking, we say someone's a chacham. Shu chacham be'etzem behusay. He is essentially a chacham. V'hainu, beautiful definition. Masha b'neshama shaloi, in his soul, yesh etzem bilti posek. There is an inexhaustible core essence, or bilti modad mugbal, and unlimited and defined shel chachma. He is an eternal well of chachma, inexhaustible wisdom, discovery, wisdom, etc. The Shema Etzem. In his neshama, there is an essence of inexhaustible ability to discover new ideas, etc. That is Shem Etzem. Let's go further to get clearer. V'Shem HaToyerhu, and what does we mean by a descriptive name? Chacham as a description. So this Chacham as a Shem Etzem, that's what he is. Then we can say, we can use the very word Chacham and use it, employ it as a description. What that is, Hashem HaToyerhu, that's already moving out from the very essence, this inexhaustible well of discovery and insight. His spiritual faculties of intellect, in brackets, they have to receive these revelations that come, that well up from his koich hachachma. So these faculties, it's all within self. He has it's a big IQ. He has a very developed IQ, highly intelligent, and therefore they are the appropriate kelim for these discoveries that well up from his hardwired etzem chacham. Is that kind of clear? That would be calling him a chacham in the descriptive, already actualized. It's not so much actualized, but description, because we're talking here about his faculties of chachma and bina, etc. We're talking about the IQ. We're talking about a descriptive property in the nefesh. That's Shema Toya. Shema Etzem is more undefined. The word potential for discovery of knowledge and insight of all kinds.
The result is the same either way, calling him a chacham, right? So, just not sure that
It's a very clear distinction. Are we talking about the etzem chachma or the faculties of chachma? That's all. Obviously, the faculties of chachma are very bound and united with the etzem chachma. It's a mashal for Atzilus. The kelim of Atzilus, are bound up with Elikus. Let's go further. So the Shema Toya, the descriptive term, means that which wells up from within him, this deep ability to understand. So he has the faculties that can receive that without limit. They're a perfect match. What's a perfect match? The actual intellectual faculties with the etzem, essence, very deep ability to discover. It would seem that in theory it's possible that the two don't. Oh, it is possible. That
You're not describing what he knows.
what?
Why are we calling him already a chacham?
That's what he's saying.
Not because of
That's
what
what, he's not finished yet. You don't know what's forcing you to call him that, but he is. And he's saying there's 4 levels of chacham. You're not finished yet. This is not actualized yet. We're describing what's the way he is. He never doesn't use it and doesn't know anything, remains an ignoramus. But he still has these properties. But I'm just addressing something else, that it's possible to have this atzmis dika chachma, and yet, for whatever reason, not born with this is not physical wiring. He said this is kili of the neshama, to be able to receive these deep intuitive insights. Can't express them intellectually.
But the expression
wonder.
intellectually is already down to Bina.
Kind of like Chachma and Bina. It's kind of like Chachma and Bina. So it's possible to have Chachma faculty and not have a matching Bina faculty.
But here he's still staying within the concept of Chacham.
Yeah.
So that's what's
Well,
confusing.
he says, he describes them Kli Moiche Yaruchniim. Oh, Kli Moiche Yaruchniim. The vessels of his spiritual brain and mind, which would be indeed the whole gambit of them, are fitting, kelim, they're broad, and they're able to receive that which wells up from the koyach hamaskil. I'm just wondering again whether it's possible to have this very deep koyach hamaskil, but he can't express it intellectually even for himself. I wonder, if possible. Huh?
There is the power, but the keli, physical eye, is not a keli. Therefore, he can't see. Doesn't mean that the source is not there. But it means that it can't actually come out because the keli of the eye.
I'm not sure if it's the same marshal, because seeing is the actual pula, which is the next thing. Maybe. What?
Something like that, like a person that they're overwhelmed by the experience, and so it has no vessel to actually
Maybe that's
settle
it.
within them. saves.
Somebody who is, I think it's called an idiot.
Yeah.
Idiot somehow, yeah.
There's somebody who's able to have some certain talent that comes from Chachma, obviously like a musical talent, but they can't explain musical talent except to express it in
Except the
Koyach
difference
Maisa.
with that.
It skips
We
Koyach.
want to keep it to Seichel, but it
It
is.
skips Koyach Maisa.
But there's
We're not
still
talking
a
music.
vessel.
This is we mean Chachma. We're talking Chachma.
There's still a vessel to receive it, though. It's just not generalized to any other aspect of the person's life. Whereas here, it's kind of more the experience of something comes up, which is mind-blowing and can't be contained in a vessel.
In his mind,
that
he
In his
doesn't-
mind.
In his mind.
But
That's
if you
what
come
I'm
out
saying.
in a pool,
Okay, I see what you're
It's
saying.
skipping straight
Right.
to
But
the
I'm not sure. I don't think so. We're talking about ideas now. We're talking about ideas. How would it come out in a pool if it can't be filtered through
Right.
some rational
An
process?
ability like music is one thing.
Not
An
talking
ability
music.
like memory
That's
is
something
another
else.
thing.
We're talking about ideas. This is the world of ideas.
Pure idea. He says things, but he doesn't understand them himself.
No, not he says things. In that case, no, he just has those thoughts. He's saying, he's a.
Well, it will come out in garbled language. It will come out in just in nonsense. But if he wants to say something about it, but he does have. It's possible again. This intuitive, on some deep level of understanding, but his actual IQ is not developed enough to be able to express that which he himself, in an atzmisdika level, has grasped. Yeah, maybe this idiot savant is the kind of.
It's like Mazalei or Chazi.
Huh?
It's like Mazalei or Chazi.
In the world of Shalom.
But yeah, but the point is, if you're not if it's not getting concluded in Mashal, then it's beyond Mashal. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay, let's go further. We'll get some more insight here. This will explain that which the pasuk says, "Yoiv chachmasa lechakimin." Give chachma to the wise. To lechayda, giving shem chakimin if they're wise. Mao inyan to yoiv chachmasa. Why do you have to give them wisdom? Achabir bazeh. Right, so you see, it could be that he doesn't have it, therefore there's a need to give it. It's our very point. Chakimun Hashem Atoya. Chakimun means already the second stage, the descriptive stage. The Misha Kli Moicha Yichem Mekabel Chachma G'dayla V'Muka B'Yoysa, that he has the internal vessel, the internal capacity to understand these deep ideas. But us Yoyv Chachmasa. So give him. So such a person, the verse is saying, he's a keli from the etzem hachachma.
The other way around.
The other way around. Shenimshech lo yagilim etzem koyach hachachma. So why do we have to give? You don't have to give.
You have to give him the Kaya, you have to give him the Chachma itself, really.
So he's saying you have the kelim rechavim, so you should. Yeah. Well, maybe it means then. Well Shenimshech lo me'etzem koyach hachachma. Who's doing this? I don't know how this works. I don't know. You're not giving him any ideas. You are stirring his etzem koyach hachachma, and it's appropriate for him. Why? Because he has chokhmah, he has the kelim rechavim.
So you need to find, it could be a student who's not succeeding, right? You need to find him a subject that that touches him so that he can invest himself in and use the kelim he already has. That's his.
Find him a subject. What do you mean?
Some people are drawn to math or science or whatever. If there's someone who has the kelim, he's a genius, but he's not applying himself. He's not using his kelim. You need to find him something that touches his etzem neshama, something that he's drawn to.
So that's
Naturally.
loylam yilmid out of makom shlebi chafetz.
Out there.
Perhaps I don't know. Here he's saying this. You're just giving him a subject, but here he's saying you give him the chachma. The chachma salachkim. Chkim means he has the capacity, but he's not in touch with his etzem chachma. So you've got to draw. How was that done? How do you draw his etzem chachma?
Is this still the Rebbe? You know them, or
Huh?
Is this still the Rebbe or the Rebbe?
He's all mitl Rebbe. Some with the mitl Rebbe.
Well, here it seems very simple that the revelation of the O will always be according to your keli. So if your keli is a chachma, you're going to have the.
So that's what I'm asking. So what do you mean? You give. How do you give it? You have it or you don't? That's what I'm asking.
But you're not realizing it.
What?
I guess the other side of the coin, that without the keli, even if the chokhmah is there, you're not going to get anything. And on the other, it's like both sides.
So why do you have to give it? Either you have it or you don't.
No, you have the keli, you don't have the och.
Huh?
I guess you have the keli, but not the och. You have to draw down this och, maybe.
It's not drawn down. It's not drawn down. It's revealed from within. Chachmas means the etzem koyach hachachma that the person has.
So you have to reveal it, bring it out, or whatever, don't call it draw down.
You're saying you have give. Someone else has, how do you do that? You have it or you don't. How do you give it?
Accept certain amount of amps and you have to.
How do you give it?
It's
Person is
ready to
born
accept.
with this desire to understand, with this deep, essential chachma. If he has the faculties for it, he'll be able to express it, not be overwhelmed by it. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. So what does it mean, give? Who's giving it, and how do you give it? It could be. It could be. We find this sometimes. We don't mean no one's giving anything to anybody, but this pasuk is just illustrating the two levels. The two levels. There is a level of chachmas, a level of chakim. Not so much literally that you should give it as a mechanism that someone could. Lav davke, lav davke. Doesn't mean kipshuta.
But you're discussing the relationship between the two.
I'm asking the simple meaning of the pasuk. Give etzem hachachma to the faculties of chachma. Who is giving, and how do you do that? Are the persons born with it, or they're not born with it? That's what I'm asking. I'm answering the possibly doesn't mean give. It's just the pasuk is just bringing out that there are these two levels.
I'm not understanding what the
No.
problem is. It's like somebody who's, your brain is still a muscle, so to speak. Like you're given the chokmah, but you have to make it work. This is from your own thing.
So you have to want to learn. So you, fine. The person himself should be motivated to use his potential. Give. What does this give?
Hashem will give.
Saying Hashem doesn't say Hashem.
Whatever.
Hashem will give you. You're born this way. You use it or you don't use it. It sounds like here the person is, and you're going to give him. What does that mean? Again, I'm suggesting we don't mean it literally. Let's finish the thing. We're just illustrating these two levels. There's chacham son, there's chimin, and yes, a person should, if he has the chimin, he has the broad intellectual faculties, then use it, and it needs will, and have the will to, maybe that's what we're saying, stir the will within the person that he should want to use his incredible ability of discovery, since you see that he has the what? Maybe that's the answer. It's the rotzen. The Maimon doesn't say this. This is my duda. Since you see that the person has the intellectual capacity, he's got the kilim rechavim. So yoav chachmasai, stir within him the will to want to use that and discover and be mechadish, etc. Maybe that's what it means.
The pasuk seems to say that Hashem gives the wise their wisdom.
Okay, that's God kipshuta.
I mean, are we? I see that.
So what does that mean?
So just so like you're
That's
saying,
a
it just
statement of
shows there's
fact.
an interaction
It's a
between
statement
the
of
two.
fact.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
pasuk is bringing out the two inyanim.
How are we touching chokhmah here? I see it's a whole different.
I think you may have missed the very beginning. The chacham is the etzem. Go turn the page before and see the lines.
No. I mean, the way everybody's debating chokhmah is like bina. Intellectual faculty, or chokhmah is.
No,
are we
that's
speaking to
chacham shem hatoya and chacham shem etzem.
So you're talking about Shematov?
The second level is shem hatoya, and that includes all the faculties. If you want to stick to the word chachma, bin as it's included in the chachma, but it means the faculties. The faculties to be able to receive the discovery that wells up from etzem hachachma, which is really the koyach hamaskel. Again, let's not get sidetracked here. The pasuk is simply illustrating. The Rebbe asks, why do you have to give chachma to the wise? Answer, because there's two inyanim the pasuk is saying. Well, the Eibishter gives. There's the etzem hachachma, the Shem HaTorah. It's a statement of fact. And who creates a person this way? Hashem. So it's not a directive, give. It's he gives. Huh? Okay, that makes more sense. He gives. Meaning, the pasuk is pointing out that there are two levels here. Actually, it's going to be within the person. The Etzem HaChacham and the Shem HaTorah. That's all. Simple. Let's go further. The Chakimin means Shem HaTorah Mishasichli Yamaychi Yechel Kabel Chachma Gedol VaMukah B'Yisach. Chakimin means the ability to be able to receive and assimilate and articulate the deep, the idea that comes from the Etzem HaChachma. V'oz Yoev Chachmasa. And that's the meaning of he gives Chachmasa. Shenimshach loy agiloy me'etzem koich HaChachma. The Etzem koich HaChachma is now expressed in the faculties of intellect. Umis'atzimim etzem HaChachma. And the faculties become one with the essential property of Chachma. Shemimena nimshach shefa rav bilti modad u'mugbal. It's from the Etzem koich HaChachma where there's this endless ability to discover and to be novel and insights in every area of intellectual pursuit. So he has the Etzem HaChachma, and if he has the faculties for it. So therefore, what happens is when it actually wells up, here's the point of all this: they become one. They become one. The faculties is oidus, that's atzilus, that the faculties of intellect, which are descriptive, they're kelim, are one with the etzem koich HaChachma. But you have kind of clear? It says, Iya v'chay echad, Iya v'gamay echad. Noisiv lazeh, Yesh gam shem kinno yesh shem ha'pe'ula. Then there's also a kinno which means like it's called an appellation. It must be a good term in English for this.
Nickname.
A nickname is often called a nickname, but that sounds trivial. Something more sophisticated. Shem ha'kinoi,
It's a label, just a descriptive title. A title.
a title. Maybe a title. A Shem ha'pe'ula, or a name that describes the pe'ula, the what? The function, the action. Shezui pe'ula is ha'chachma b'poyel. So here we're talking about the actual pe'ula. Hainu sha'chachma b'la de gili b'poyel. The idea is actually expressed. V'achiyachal lovim mechutzim, to the point that it can be expressed outside of him. Can talk it. Shoing in gila lazulis, he's expressing it to the other. Okay, we're in the middle. I'll revisit this. It's a Shema Monday. Finish the sentence. Varigili b'poyel, actual revelation. V'achiyachal lovim begila lazulis, to the point that he can express it to another, write it down or speak it. U'b'ayfim modad u'mugbal, here it's highly finite. Okay, we'll see this all translates in the various shemas in contrast to Shem Tzvokos.